Pablo Escobar went from having almost nothing to building one of the largest fortunes the world has ever seen. This wasn't a slow rise. This wasn't a traditional path. It was fast, aggressive, and far outside the limits of what most people believe is possible. In a world where the average person spends decades trying to achieve financial stability, Escobar created an empire worth billions in less than 20 years. But what made his story truly extraordinary wasn't just the amount of money. It was the speed. In a very short period of time, his operation began generating constant income at a level that was almost impossible to measure. At his peak, he was producing billions of dollars every single year. That level of income placed him among the richest individuals on the planet. But here's where things become even more unbelievable. The money was coming in so fast, and in such massive volumes, that managing it became a challenge of its own. There were no systems designed to handle that amount of cash efficiently. Large portions of his wealth had to be stored in multiple locations, and over time, some of it was simply lost due to the conditions in which it was kept. Think about that for a moment. Reaching a level where making money is no longer the hardest part, but managing it becomes the real challenge. That's a completely different reality. As his wealth continued to grow, so did his lifestyle. He didn't just accumulate money. He converted it into control. He owned massive properties, built large-scale spaces designed for comfort and expansion, and created an environment where everything operated according to his vision. But what truly separated him from others wasn't just what he had. It was how he used it. Escobar understood something that many people overlook. Money by itself is not real power. Power comes from influence. And that's exactly what he focused on. He used his resources to support communities, help people in need, and build a public image that connected him with thousands of individuals. Because of that, many people didn't just recognize his name. They supported him, and that gave him something even more valuable than money: loyalty. When someone combines massive resources with loyalty, their ability to expand becomes incredibly strong. For years, that combination helped sustain his empire. It allowed him to grow faster, reach further, and maintain a level of control that few people could achieve. But at the same time, that rapid expansion began to create new challenges. Because the bigger something becomes, the harder it is to control. What once worked in a simple way became more complex. What once felt manageable began to require more structure, more coordination, and more attention. And this is where many large fortunes face their biggest test. Not when they are growing, but when they have to be maintained. In Escobar's case, his rise was so fast that the system he built became increasingly difficult to manage at full scale. The money kept coming in, but so did the pressure. More decisions, more responsibility, more factors that could affect stability. Over time, the environment around him began to change. His name became more visible. The scale of his operation attracted more attention, and maintaining that level of power became more difficult with each passing moment. This is where his story becomes more than just a story about wealth. It becomes a lesson, because many people focus only on the idea of making money, but very few understand the difference between generating wealth and sustaining it over time. Fast growth can be impressive, but without a strong foundation, it becomes unstable. And when something unstable reaches a massive scale, even small cracks can turn into serious problems. In the case of Escobar, his empire reached extraordinary levels, but maintaining that level required a balance that was extremely difficult to sustain. Every decision carried more weight, every movement had greater consequences, and every mistake became more costly than before. Slowly, the pressure began to build. What once seemed unstoppable started to face increasing challenges. And this is where the reality of extreme wealth becomes clear. It's not just about how fast you can grow, but how long you can stay in control. Because building wealth quickly can change your life, but maintaining it requires a completely different level of discipline, structure, and stability. In the end, Pablo Escobar's story is not just about money. It's about ambition without limits. It shows how far someone can go when they are driven to expand beyond normal boundaries. But it also reveals the hidden cost of rapid success. Because while fast growth can build something massive, only stability can make it last.